Hello, students. Today I'm here with a paragraph from your NCRT itself. Okay, this you can see this. This is a part of your NCRT, and this is from the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variation. Now, I have seen that most of the people ignore this. Most of the people don't read NCRT for this chapter because this chapter mainly consists of examples and laws which they make notes separately and study from that. And even I did that obviously, and it helps because there is not much theory in this chapter, and what this chapter includes is crosses and examples and ratios which can be learnt by heart from notes as well. So there is no actually specific need of NCRT because there is no theory questions framed from this chapter. And one of my friends, when she sent me this paragraph, that when I was also studying for NEET, one of my friends sent me this paragraph, and she said that she couldn't understand. There is a let me tell you, NCRT has explained a very, very big topic in these three paragraphs. Okay, it's a very deep concept. So when she said that she didn't understand, I read that paragraph and I realized that you shouldn't ignore any paragraph from NCRT. Now it looks like they are explaining simple codominance and incomplete dominance here, but it's not that. They are explaining something very important and very deep concept. So I am sure most of you will have ignored this. I am sure 99% of the students will have ignored this, and they must have not read this. And even if you have read it, there will be most of the people who have not understood it. So let's start about what is this. So right now you can see, let's read this first. Do you realize that in the example of ABO blood grouping, the example of ABO blood grouping also provides a good example of multiple alleles. Obviously, there are three alleles, IA, IB, and small I. So there are three alleles. And also incomplete dominance because also codominance because A and B are. Acha, there was this question in one of the MCQs that ABO blood grouping is an example of which of the following? Okay, it was codominance. Second option was dominance. Third option was polygenes, and the fourth option was both A and B. So the answer will be both A and B. Now it is given as the example of, now you all will say it is example of codominance. No, because A and B are both equally dominant and both are equally expressed. But the problem is we forget about that small I. A is dominant over O. Even B is dominant over O. So this is an example of codominance as well as dominance. And if the third option was multiple alleles, then the answer would be all of the above. Okay? Because it shows dominance, it shows codominance, as well as multiple alleles, because there are three alleles here, right? Two alleles is the normal condition, which we consider as the standard condition. Okay, now here you can see that there are more than two, that is three alleles governing the same character, the character of having a blood group or an antigen on the RBC. Since in an individual only two alleles can be present, multiple alleles can be found when population studies are made. Occasionally, a single gene, see here is where the deep concept begins, okay? Occasionally, a single gene product may produce more than one effect. For example, starch synthesis in pea seeds is controlled by one gene. It has two alleles, B and B, capital B and small b. Starch is synthesized effectively by capital B and capital B. Homozygous, and therefore large starch grains are produced. In contrast, small b homozygous have lesser efficiency in starch synthesis and produce smaller starch grains. After maturation of the seeds, capital B seeds are round and the small b seeds are wrinkled. Heterozygous produce round seeds. And so capital B seems to be the dominant allele, but the starch grains produced are of intermediate size in capital B, small b. So if starch grain size is considered as the phenotype, then from this angle the alleles show incomplete dominance. Okay, so I'll explain it. Okay, so now what we are talking about here is we have a allele. So this is capital B, this is small b. Okay, I am now dividing this page, and here we have capital B and small b. Now here I am talking about starch. One second, let me write it properly. Here we will talk about starch, and here we will talk about shape. Alleles same hai, same alleles, okay? The same alleles which I mentioned before, capital B and small b. Here capital B and small b. Here now you know the offsprings of the F2 generation will be as follows. You know, it will be capital B, capital B, capital B, small b, and small b, small b. Same will be here, capital B, capital B, capital B, small b, and small b, small b. Now what they are trying to say is these same alleles are carrying out more than one function. Means one gene is carrying out more than one function. The same alleles are controlling the starch production. The same alleles are controlling the shape of the pea seeds. So now when we saw that in starch production, this capital B produces a good amount of starch. Okay, it is mentioned here. No, here you can see starch is synthesized effectively by capital B, capital B. Right? Now after maturation, BB seeds are round, and this is about, they're talking about the shape. Right now I'm talking about starch synthesis. Okay, wait, yeah. So this produces a large amount of starch. While talking about the shape, capital B is round, capital B small b is round, and small b is wrinkled. So what you will say, that small b is recessive, capital B is dominant. So this is my conclusion from this. So I am writing that capital B is dominant and small b is recessive. Okay, how did I conclude this? Because this was round, and this was wrinkled. So what this shows, that capital B is masking the effect of small b. But when I saw in starch production, this had maximum amount of starch. This was synthesizing maximum amount of starch. This had the least amount of starch. अब तक तो ठीक है, but इसमें capital B small b we found intermediate amount of starch. Now if capital B was actually dominant over small b, we should have maximum amount of starch here, maximum amount of starch, because capital B is dominant. So small b should not at all express itself. But we can see that as the intermediate characteristic is expressed in the heterozygous condition, we know that this happens in incomplete dominance. So here, what was my conclusion here? That this has incomplete dominance. Now you see, these alleles are the same. The same gene, the same alleles, capital B and small b. Capital B and small b, same genes. In one case, I am saying that it is incomplete dominance. So if there are two scientists, one was working on capital B and small b, and he found out that but he was working in the starch production he was studying the starch production characteristic, and I was studying the shape of the seed. So what after his research, he came and told me that these two alleles show incomplete dominance, but I will say no, capital B is dominant and small b is recessive. However, now someone will say, how is this possible? They are same alleles. Either they have to show codominance, either they have to show incomplete dominance, or they have to show complete dominance. How can they show both? This paragraph says that they can show both. Okay, so this whatever they have mentioned here, I have explained it in this slide. Okay, this slide explains whatever is written in the second paragraph. In this paragraph is explained there. Now, let's read it though. But the starch grains produced are of intermediate size. So, if starch grain size is considered, in this form, the alleles show incomplete dominance. We saw that. And since heterozygotes produce round seeds, capital B seems to be the dominant allele. So now you see how dominance and incomplete dominance both are shown by the same set of alleles. Therefore, this is a very important statement. Dominance is not an autonomous feature of a gene or the product that it has information for. Means they are saying that looking at one particular characteristic, like I was wrong when I said that it is complete dominance, because I was looking at an autonomous feature of the size of the shape of the seed, and I was wrong, because dominance is not an autonomous feature of a gene. I cannot say just because the shape shows just because the heterozygous shows a dominant shape, I cannot say that this allele is dominant, because it is not it is not dependent on the gene. Okay, it is not, see, it is written here, it depends as much on the gene product and the production of a particular phenotype from its product. So an allele is codominant, alleles are showing codominance or incomplete dominance or complete dominance, whatever, can be relative to what product it wants to form. Okay, so even when if someone asks me that the gene, see, there will be a gene, no, which has these alleles. I hope you all know that a gene has alleles. So there will be a gene which has these alleles, which B and B jiska part hai, it will be a gene. So that gene, I cannot say that this gene is dominant. No, you can't, because you don't know about what product you are talking. I can say that when the shape of the seed is considered, capital P is the dominant allele. I can say that. I cannot say that if there is a capital B allele, then it is going to be dominant. That will be a wrong statement. So I have to mention what the product is. This is where we say it does on, as it does. It means they want to say that it depends on the particular phenotype that we choose to examine. If I choose starch, then it is codominance. If I choose shape, then it is complete dominance. Sorry, it's incomplete dominance in case of starch. I'm sorry, I said codominance. If I consider starch, then it is incomplete dominance. If I consider shape, then it is complete dominance. So in case more than one phenotype is influenced by the same gene, the dominance or codominance or incomplete dominance depends on the phenotype that we choose to examine. So this was a deep concept where they are trying to say that how the terms we use, codominance, dominance, and all, are dependent on which phenotype we are examining. This was a deep concept. I hope I've made it easier to understand, and let me know what other topics you would like me to simplify for you all. Thank you.